Hello, everyone. Dr. Ames here. This time I'd like to talk to you about some trends in international business. Good place to start is with some examples of multinational companies. Talked about that previously, and these are companies that do business in the worldwide marketplace. They have a headquarters in some country somewhere, but they buy and sell resources anywhere where it's profitable for them, and they sell and provide services in the same manner. You can see here on the right, got some prominent logos that are very familiar, I think, to all of us. Nike, McDonald's, Toyota, Coca-Cola. Probably Coca-Cola is the most recognized brand logo in the world, maybe rivaled today probably by McDonald's and Starbucks. But certainly these are all examples of multinational businesses who are engaged in international trade on quite a level. If you look at the examples on the left, we see McDonald's again, but we also see three others. FedEx, certainly FedEx as a delivery company in the industry of transportation. Um, they really do operate internationally. So does Cisco Systems up there in the upper left, with their expertise in technology and being management consultants for information systems and things like that. And then the Mars Corporation, I don't know as much about. Certainly, they make M&Ms, and M's, and I know that it is an international product and so forth. So the notion here is that many prominent American companies and even international companies like Toyota are thinking globally and acting globally. So, what are the trends today? Well, here are three major trends that we see out there. Um, this economic recovery and development idea is really related to the way the world was after World War II. It comes out of that. After World War II, certainly the United States dominated international commerce and dominated it for several decades until more or less the economies of Europe, in particular Germany, and then later Japan, were rebuilt with US help, of course, and began to grow their own economies, which today, those two examples in particular are up there in the top economies in the world. Um, and they spent much of business activity on this notion of economic recovery, developing infrastructure, building things up. And so it just so happens that today we focus quite a bit in international business on economic recovery in our own home countries, in the domestic market. Um, and that is one of the biggest trends out there. Focus our projects and our business activities that build economic strength. Um, and we look at the markets in those ways as opportunities. Um, we have to say that some of the largest businesses in the world, just as of a few years ago, at least a third of the top 500 businesses were owned by US. Another 64 were Japanese, and another about 40 or so were French. So those are all examples of big players. And all three of those countries have companies who focused on economic recovery and developing projects within their own countries. And of course, we've seen the emergence of big, rich corporations, particularly in retailing. We would notice that Walmart, uh, upwards of over $400 billion of revenues annually and so forth, the world's largest retailing firms. Um, the idea here, another trend besides focusing on economic development and so forth, is the idea that most businesses can't isolate themselves from international competition. There's just nowhere to hide from this international influence. Um, the products we often sell as retailers might be made completely or partially in other countries and probably are imported. Those products are certainly the result of international commerce, and that affects everyone, certainly in our domestic market here as consumers. And then we also see the increasing globalization of all marketplaces. This just means that the trend of globalization, international commerce, is accelerating. And when the pandemic eventually moves on and things reach some type of normalcy, we will probably see a huge surge of globalization and renewal of linkages of suppliers, and so forth. And what we see because of this really truly international catastrophe is that is international business is so interrelated, and all the economic downturns are shared around the world, and business concerns are shared around the world. So no market is immune from international competition or even global forces, um, unless maybe that your government steps in, and puts on restrictions of some sort. Okay, folks, that's all I want to talk about this time. I'll talk to you again soon.